Oh boy. Hello, girlfriends, and welcome to Girlfriend2Girlfriend. I'm Jabbour, the founder of the Girlfriends Club and creator of Girlfriend2Girlfriend, and I am so thrilled to be with you all tonight. I feel like I'm really close to the camera, so forgive me if I'm in your face, but I am just overjoyed to welcome back my girlfriend, Dr. Risa Ryger, who you may remember was here, I think, back in April. And I wanted Risa to come back because we really never peeled back the onion on the topic that we wanted to talk about. And that is how positive change can happen at any time in your love life and all relationships. I mean, as we were talking, it's all in here. We just got to let it go. Hi, Risa. How are
Hi,
you?
Allie. I am so fine, and I'm so happy to be back here with you. I know that when we start our conversations, who knows where they go, but they're always just so heartfelt and sincere, and we just go with it as
Well, I
girlfriends do.
I I appreciate that because sometimes when you're on, a theme or a thread, you just got to keep going with it. So we're good at that. And we can recognize it. But I was telling you yesterday, when we were catching up, how you've really affected some of the women who watched the last episode. And that made me feel amazing because you just never know, right? Somebody drops by for a minute or for 15 minutes or for the whole episode and walks away with something. And I know how you feel because you change lives all day long. That's your business. It's not my business. It's like my passion now. And I love to hear this. So, whatever, antidotes we can drop today that can help will certainly prove beneficial to, I'm sure, more than one person, and male or female. We got them all. We got everybody. We got dogs. So let's talk a little bit about the theme, and how positive change you know can really affect everything, right? I mean, if and it comes from within. We all have the resources inside of us to unlock positive.
What a great place for us to start. And I just want to point out to everyone just what Allie just did, because it's so on point. She was like this. She had her hand on her heart as she was talking about change, and that change comes also, from the inside out. And let's just take a moment, because one of the things that Allie and I talked about yesterday, not that we had a plan and not that we have a script, I just want you to know that we're working here together. We're in the moment. We're in the
Yes.
present together with one another and with all of you, for those who are watching right now and for those who are going to be watching on recording. And one thing that we came to yesterday that I want to kind of bring up today is that, and it's a question, why is change so hard? Why is change hard? And that the reason why really comes back to neuroscience, and that we do what we do because we've done what we've done. And that's where our brain goes. And it goes kind of like this, that what happens is that your brain loves patterns. So what happens when you're in a situation, and when you're in a situation and there's something that comes up, your brain needs to perceive it, assess it, and respond to it. So what happens is when your brain perceives it, our brains are extraordinary pattern identifiers. So what happens, it's like this. And so it's like situation, brain looks for a pattern. Okay, what have I done? Do I know this? Do I know this? What have I done? do I know this? So one is identifying the pattern and assessing it. And then you see, okay, well, this is the assessment. What have I done before? And so your brain, being the thing, the organ and incredible computer beyond computers that it is, says, oh, okay, this is the pattern and this is what I've done. And then we respond. And we respond the way that we've responded, because our brains kind of go, well, in this situation, that that this that we this is what we do. I have a little bit of a crying dog at my door.
Aw, let the
So
crying dog in.
actually, I'm going to, this crying dog shouldn't be here, should be taken care of by somebody else. And so we just fast segue to women. And what are the 4 F's of women? We're the finders, the feelers, the fixers, and the freelancers. And so right now, somebody else needs to do the fix. So anyway, so this is what happens with our brains. It's a point of efficiency, right? Because if we had to go into every situation as if we haven't been there before, we would be bemuddled and befuddled. So actually, our brains in these patterns are there to really help us. However, this is where the kicker is, that a couple of things. One is that what might have been helpful at one point in time and might have been adaptive at one point of time doesn't help us now. And so the coping mechanisms, what we learned at a specific point, and it may have been actually even the best we could have done, right? Is this making sense so far? Okay.
Absolutely.
It could have been the best we could have done at that point in time. However, now we're in a different kind of situation. We have more internal resources. We've had more life experience. We've seen things. We've experienced things. And that we need to update for ourselves. So this is where, and we've heard this a lot in terms of mindfulness, of taking the pause, because the way that you make change is by literally not going down the same path. And so change is active. First of all, the really great news here is that we are built for change. And we have something called, if I'm going to kind of go there a little bit, we have something called neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity means the capacity of the brain to change. And we have extraordinary, it's wild what our brain can do in terms of creating new pathways. And so for us to change, and actually a while back, I was interviewed by a cardiac thoracic surgeon who said to me, Dr. Risa, I have these patients who are coming in and they're having heart surgery. They're having quadruple, multiple, surgeries for, on their hearts. And I keep telling them that they have to make these changes in their lives, and people aren't changing. Change is hard because we do what we do because we've done what we've done. So change is active. We have the capacity to change throughout our life, but it's an active process. And so we have to become aware, because you can't change what you're not aware of. So awareness is the first step. And this is your time to really have that moment with yourself, to really look and have that really honest assessment of you with you. You don't need to involve anyone else, of what's working for me and what isn't.
And it's hard.
Oh my
And it's
gosh.
hard.
It's hard. Do you know
It's
how much?
like,
Yeah. Allie, how much courage does that? I mean, seriously, how much courage does that take?
1,000,000% of courage, and to be brave,
Yes.
to be able to warrior through it. It's a lot, but I feel like if you're able to do it and you have the capacity, it's such a reward on the other side. Such a reward.
Absolutely. And this is the key, that it doesn't, if you do it once, it's not enough. Because the patterns you're in now, you have been practicing for hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions of times. So if you're creating something new and different, you have to practice that. So the first time you catch yourself and you go, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to do that thing that gets me to that spot. I want to get to something else and something different and something that will work better for me. And so at the moment where you're ready to respond in the old way, you have to tell yourself, not so fast, and make the conscious decision to do something different. And what will happen is that your neurotransmitters, the stuff that gets, squirted out at the end of your neurons, are going to help you make the change. And the more that you do that, and from a science perspective, there's a saying, neurons that fire together wire together. So you're building a new pathway. You're literally not just changing your behavior, you're helping to change your brain. And then what will wind up happening, if you're true with this, is that as easy as it was to go down that other path that got you to a spot that no longer worked for you, that this path will become much more natural to you and much more fluid.
I mean, you just like described science in the most beautiful way. First of all, your delivery, your voice, your tone, you're like, I'm like falling, like swooning here. It all makes sense, but you have to put the work in. And that's, it's not a book, it's not flashcards. It's like I said before, it's all in here. And you need to engage it. And I say this, and you and I have never worked together. I've never been your patient, but I have done a lot of work on myself because I realized in the past that I was on that same path, I was repeating the same behaviors over and over again. And I wasn't getting the results that I thought I was initiating because I wasn't changing the way that my setting up my pattern per se, like you were saying. So, it does work. And the other part that I think works, Risa, is I learned a long time ago that a positive attitude and a smile on your face goes a long way. It doesn't just go a long way for the people looking at you, but for yourself. And once I realized that at a very mature age, things started to change. Things got better. And I felt emotionally stronger. I felt more confident. And, I was able to feel that self security that I was so craving. It's a miracle, but it's the work. You have to put the work in. Got to put the work in.
What you're saying is so beautiful. And that even, and the thing is, Allie, that, as women, we feel like we really have to know what we're doing. I mean, if we look at the statistics, right, a lot of women feel even that they can't apply for a job unless they meet 100% of the criteria. Men will look at a job description, see that maybe they hit 60% of it, and they go, hey, that's me, right? That's me, I'm going for it. So women will sometimes take themselves out of the picture beforehand. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that when you're at the beginning of this journey, or at some point in this journey, you don't have to know what you're going to do next. You don't have to know what the whole path is going to look like. And we sometimes feel like we really have to know it. We have to be in it. We have to see kind of how the whole thing works. And sometimes what happens, and that can work very well for us in some respects, but in some respects, it's not our best friend. So as we're here girlfriending, I want to tell the girlfriends out there that you don't have to know what the 3 steps down the road are going to be. What you do need to know is that you need to take your first step.
That's it. That's it. It's the and take that risk and put the work in, because I didn't know where my path was going to go, but I
Mhm.
liked how I felt when I took the first step.
I was giving a workshop on women and just a program, and a process and a program that I have called Disruptive Self-Ownership. And I was giving it to a group of like fantastic women. And this one woman started to talk about how she really keeps her opinions to herself. And then it turned out that she was so worried of what was going to happen if she said something, right? And what I said to her is like, look, you're expecting that if you say something, you're going to get a tsunami. Maybe you'll get a drizzle.
Right.
Maybe you'll just get a drizzle, if anything. And she went out and she gave it a try. And what she had anticipated was so different than what really happened, right? And so what can also get in our way is that we're anticipating something that's going to be overwhelming us. And there can be a fearfulness, and understandably so. One other thing is that no matter where you are, you have to be kind to yourself. You must be kind to yourself. You're your first place of kindness. And I'm going to stay with positive change, because
Yeah.
otherwise that's another piece of it. But that you don't have to know all the steps. It's okay. It's okay. Do something. And even though you may not be able to trust, and I'm not saying that you need to trust, you don't need to trust. But what you need to do is take the step. Take the step. And see what happens then. See how you feel. Look at what Allie was doing. Allie kept going like this, right? All I have to do is look to you. Allie is going like this. So when you take your step, see what that feels like in you. Listen to hear your body. Your body has a wealth of information. Just because it's not talking to you doesn't mean that it's not smart. It's just communicating to you in a different way. And it's so important that we tune into that and we listen to that, because our bodies are sometimes screaming at us to either to go ahead or to stop or whatever all of that may be. And so take the step and remember that anything that you do, even if you think, oh my gosh, that's so, and we can be rough on ourselves, we can be tough on ourselves, that anything that we do is better than doing nothing.
100%.
Something beats
Mhm.
nothing every day, 7 times on Sundays, right?
Oh, 100%. And the other piece is, when you're talking about being kind to yourself and listening to yourself, we talk about communication, right? So in relationships, the breakdown in communication is usually the first thing, right? All of a sudden you stop communicating, with your partner, whether it's a work partner or your spouse or your loved one or whatever. Well, don't stop communicating with yourself, because when that happens, that's when a tsunami of fear comes over,
Mhm.
because then the trepidation sets in.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that, you know what? Even if you're afraid, it's fear. It's fear. It's not going to do you in. And fear is one of our emotions.
Mhm.
And so we're so afraid of fear. We're so
Oh,
afraid of discomfort. We're
we're
so
afraid of
afraid.
hurting someone else
Oh
too,
my gosh.
right? I mean,
Right.
having that hard conversation, having that difficult conversation, the ones that are the most challenging, the nail biters, but when I've had them, in the past, I think of it as like, okay, you're just being really brave because you need to communicate and you need to explain why you feel this way before it just, blows up.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that, whether it's with the kids or in the office or with a loved one or someone I care about, I need to nip it in the bud because it'll stew.
Oh my gosh, it sits and it.
And
uh,
I'm like, oh, I can't do this. Like, then you get the ick. You don't want the ick, the godforsaken ick. Like, not the ick.
definitely.
And I think, as women, we're always looking for the answer. What's the answer? What's the right way to approach this? How did you do it? How did you handle it? Well, there's no two scenarios are the same. No two relationships are the same. All you can do, is share wisdom and thought, right? Um, and approach a conversation, to help somebody, with the best possible, scenario that you can, share. But nobody walks in our shoes. And thank God.
Right.
You wouldn't want to. I got a lot of blisters today, but no, but this is all, so important for that positive change setup.
Yes. And I want to add it very much to your point and just amplifying that, which is that we may have a tendency, and I'm going to repeat this, that we may have a tendency to overvalue the negatives and undervalue the positives. Repeat, we have a tendency to overvalue the negatives and undervalue the positives.
Shout that. I mean, that is so on point. I think I've done that since I'm 7 years old. You hear the negative right away,
Yes.
immediately, and you
Yeah.
process it immediately.
And
The
it can sit
positive,
like a brick.
Mhm. And yet the positive, it sometimes just floats. And you're like, and now it's like, wait, bring that back. Like, it's floating
Mhm.
over us when we should be grabbing it and putting it, in our hearts.
Yes. And that way we keep it in us. So for everyone who's listening right now, because one of the things that I love to do, and it's really important to me, is, and if there's something in this conversation, in this girlfriending that Allie and I are having together with you, think of think of one thing that you can start to make a change about. One thing that you would like to become more aware about and make a shift. If you don't like the word change, that's okay. Make a shift. If you like shift better, if that works with you, if it goes into you more easily, go with that. I don't care if you call it banana. It doesn't matter. Think of one thing that you would like to make a change, a shift, or a banana about, and commit to it right now as you're here with us. Something small, don't overextend. Something small and doable that you can start perhaps now. And you can start it now by setting that intention inside of yourself, taking that awareness, committing to yourself, and going to a conversation that we had earlier before we started the show. And do not put yourself in terms of priority after buying the 2 pounds of apples. That you will do this for yourself after everything else is done on your list, and then you come in. This is something that's doable. Make it something, choose something doable and commit to it. Commit to yourself to making this change. And we know, and we can promise you that if you start making one small change, that will help you and help your confidence, help your positivity to also then go on to make the next change. And like Allie was saying, after she did her work and what was coming to her, what she experienced is coming to her, right? Allie, what you experienced is coming to you. I have a little bit of a different twist on it. And this is the twist that I have, is that when you change spaces in your head, that you saw different opportunities, that positive possibility became more clear to you because you were seeing and experiencing with new eyes, with eyes that were more open, more focused, and could see that positivity and the possibility. Because as we say, you never know.
You never know. And I think that that's exactly it, the possibility. You can see the possibility. Things are
With
just,
positivity.
and yes, with positivity. And also things are less gray. They become just much more black and white. So how much does everybody just love you? Like you are, I have, wow. There's so much gratitude that I don't even know where to begin to thank you because, you know, just visiting with you and girlfriending with you and spending time, it just makes me feel good. And I'm trying to understand if it's because you're just so approachable and you're so kind and you're so real and you're brilliant. And I could go on for days and you're beautiful, but I just thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And you know, you're coming back.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? We have a lot
Work
to
to
say.
do.
We have work to do. And when I come back, if you want to share in the chat
Yes,
what you had committed to,
that's a
and when
great
I
idea.
come back, share in the chat how it's been going, or if you want to share before then, that's great too. And if you have any questions, we're going to put up a way for you to contact
Yes.
me. Let me know how you're doing, how the
Yes.
journey's going. But let us know, commit to something. And when I come back, let us know because we're here with our pom-poms rooting for you.
That's right. 100%. We're
100%.
girlfriending, rooting, and it's all about, paying it forward. And that's my mantra. And, at any given time, that's really my messaging is that I just want to pay it forward. And I thank you. And I'm going to say, Jenna, you can put up Risa's contact information. So until our next visit, you take care of you. And I'll see you soon. And thank you. And here you go. Here, everyone. This is how you can get in touch with Dr. Risa Ryger. We'll see you next time.